I'm Alex Stone, former military service member and law enforcement officer, now CEO of Echelon Protected Services, one of the fastest growing private security firms on the West Coast. And this is Ride Along, where our guests and I witness firsthand the issues affecting our community. I believe our proven method of enacting meaningful change through compassion and understanding is the best way to make our streets a safer place and truly achieve security through community. Hey, welcome back. I'm Alex Stone. This is the Ride Along Podcast, brought to you by Opsec Media Group. Check us out online. Today's guest is Yuri Sernande. He is currently the CTO of Sentinel Overwatch Services. He's also the owner and, I guess, developer of many other technologies. Yuri, introduce yourself to the folks.
Good morning, everybody. Alex, thank you for having me here. Hello, everybody. My name is Yuri Sernande. Been in the tech industry about 24 years. Prior service military. I served in the Guard Reserve for about 9 years.
Whoa.
And I was fortunate enough to have also been a firefighter EMT for about 7.
That's awesome. We'll get into that for sure.
Awesome.
And so you were part of the volcano rescue team.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So for those in the Pacific Northwest, we have volcanoes up here. They call them mountains, but they can blow up at any second. This happened in, I think, 1982.
Yes.
Mount St. Helens blew up. A third of the mountain kind of disappeared. And so you were on the fire and rescue team that would service people that would get lost on that mountain.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
This involved helicopters. It involved all kinds of machinery, I'm sure.
Yes.
And you got into that at a young age, correct?
Yes. I was 16 years old.
That's awesome. Wow.
And yes. So my mentor and the founder of the volcano rescue team, Tom McDowell, actually founded that organization almost probably 50 years ago. And
he's probably mentored dozens, if not, more than dozens of chiefs that are now currently chiefs all across America.
Yes.
That program.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, Tom was a one of a kind, I'd say.
Real innovator.
Yes, and in the first responder world, he was originally a sheriff in that area, and he found that 50 years ago that there was no 911 when you would call it, no medical response. So he found a need, and he founded a tri-agency. So he founded North Country EMS, Emergency Medical Services. The second was the Volcano Rescue Team, and then the third was Yakult Fire District, lucky number 13.
Love it. Lucky number 13. And so as a EMT/firefighter, what were your main responsibilities?
So when I first started, it was really getting up to speed and training. It was a lot to learn. Honestly, it was a lot of responsibility for a teenager in high school, still trying to get through school. And here I am, training alongside professional paramedics. We were an ALS unit, which stands for Advanced Life Support Unit. The difference between this particular medical unit was that in an urban environment, when you transport, it probably takes less than 30 minutes from, point of incident.
You would hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus on-scene time. There, you're looking at probably 45 minutes to a minimum of an hour transport times.
Because of the rural nature
Correct.
Of the location of where this person might be injured or stranded.
That's correct.
Wow.
And some of these patients were only accessible and extractable through helicopter. And I remember, another component of this agency was what we referred to as Pine Creek, which required another level of training, considerable training actually. So we'd trained for, back then it was at least a month every weekend, and it was pretty much a tour of all of the Southwest St. Helens area, of all the different, the Lava Canyon, the Ape Caves, and all the different tourist spots. We'd go up to Windy Ridge, and we'd have to learn not only all the different locations, but how to, get in and get out.
Exfil.
Infill, exfil, yeah.
From those locations, wow. That's pretty That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That type of land nav in that locations. And this is a very rural, very this area of America. I mean, it is a volcano. It's an active volcano. Smoke is coming from this thing every day.
Right.
And you're there in the lava tubes that were just formed in the 80s.
Well, I'm not a scientist, but they've been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
The Ape Caves are actually a huge tourist destination spot.
I've been there. Amazing.
And it's pretty extensive. There's no light switch in there, so oftentimes tourists go unprepared, and it can get kind of cold. And if you don't have the right proper lighting, you can trip, sprain an ankle, and it's a very difficult walk out of there. So oftentimes when patients are down, we have to have all sorts of confined space rescue teams to come in there and extract.
You got to board them out.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. I remember those exercises.
I know, right?
Those are good times. So you get into the emergency services at a young age, which is very profound. It's actually very hard. I would imagine that's hard to do.
Yes.
Even getting hired today as a high school graduate is very difficult. People are looking for people that have more mature years. And so what was your transition like going into the military? You said you had been doing fire and rescue. I guess that continued through college?
Yes.
You probably did fire sciences in colleges?
So I did 2 years in high school, and what I was preparing for was, at the time when I was in school, Washington State had a unique program, one of probably 2 or 3 university-owned programs. Washington State at the time was one of them. The second one was University of Alaska Fairbanks, which still exists today, which was a student resident program. So you got paid to live, work, and go to school. And awesome program.
While you're operating the on-site fire team.
Correct.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I wish they had that for law enforcement. That'd be incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So so throughout high school, I was preparing for that. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was probably one of the best departments to come from. Tom had a history of 12, 13 years of placing key firefighters at that program.
Oh, wow.
Year after year.
Yeah.
So from the early 80s all the way to, the late mid-90s.
You get this amazing placement from this completely amazing innovator in the fire industry. How many years are you involved in that program, and then what led you going into the military?
I actually joined when I was 18. I wanted to go in at 17, but you had to get a parent signature.
Yeah, they don't like to sign off on that.
No.
The moms really they're against that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I in Yakult, I lived with a military family, the Ferreras, and the wife was a colonel in the Army. Husband was on the bomb squad, prior service Air Force. The eldest son was an 18 Delta SF medic.
Nice, you're getting after it. I love it.
Yeah, and then the younger son was a airborne guy, 82nd guy, and it just rubbed off on me. So I wanted to join.
That's awesome.
So that's how I got into the military, plus my involvement with the fire service. So I when I enlisted, I had 2 choices in mind. I either wanted to be a firefighter in the Army or a medic. So I chose medic.
Medic, that's great. Yeah. So you probably did the reserves because you're still in college.
Yes, I did the Guard Reserve.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So you're in the military. You're serving your country. You're in the Guard Reserve. So Washington Guard. You're in the Washington National Guard. Finishing up fire sciences, going to this program. You're an actual firefighter while you're in college.
Yeah.
Wish I knew about that program. That's really cool.
Right.
And so you eventually break away from that and you go into the tech industry.
Yes.
And so what led you, not necessarily away from emergency services, but what led you into the tech industry? Where was that jump?
It was pure accident. I was originally going to school to be an architect, and I didn't grow up with computers. This was the early 90s, mid 90s, and I bought a computer to learn AutoCAD.
Oh, cool. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing, what I was buying, what I was getting into, but it just came naturally to me. and learned about this new degree program called MIS, Management Information Systems. Loved it. Started taking all the classes, business classes,
Wow.
tech classes.
Yeah.
So that's how I sort of transitioned to the tech industry.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
And so you eventually get hired by major companies. You've handled major projects,
Yes.
wind projects. You were kind of a lead consultant on a lot of these larger projects. Tell us what you're involved in now. What's going on in your life now?
Yeah. So in the pre-cloud days, I've been in the tech industry 24 years now.
Yeah. Pre-cloud meaning?
Pre-cloud meaning most folks think that the cloud is, or the internet is, you swipe your credit card and then enter a couple of words and then boom, you have an instant website. Where before you had to do quite a bit of engineering just to get a website and email up and running. So in the pre-cloud days, we actually had to build the data centers, all the networking, all the servers and the storage just to get a piece of technology up. Now it's much, much easier. And so we develop software, and it's known as software as a service, typically.
SaaS.
SaaS, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so now I've been in a number of different industries, from electronic design automation, securities litigation, forest products, and as you mentioned, wind energy was one of my favorite projects, actually. And actually, I worked for a prominent property management firm that you guys.
He's currently a client of Echelon's.
Yes, yeah. I ended up consulting or working as a systems engineer, architect, and then eventually I became a consultant for a lot of early stage companies. I'm working with one right now called Sentinel Overwatch Services in the physical security space, and we're using artificial intelligence and deep learning to monitor and observe all the disparate cameras systems that are out there, and enabling guarding services to proactively respond to critical incidents.
So in a sense, you started kind of those early teen years, right? Doing that deep dive into emergency services.
Yes.
You fall in love with computers, you go into tech, but now your life is coming full circle back into that emergency services space, that industry. And so explain how this new tech you're working on, this AI-driven direct action model, is servicing properties and where you think it's going to go in the future.
Sure. So in the emergency services arena, the first responder world, cycle times are, as you know, the most important thing. So from point of incident to when someone calls 911,
Critical.
Very critical, to the point when that incident is then triaged and then dispatched.
Yep.
Right.
Your child is at home. They're 15 years old.
Right.
They don't have firearm skills. Someone kicks in the door to rob your house.
Right.
Your 15-year-old's upstairs in a closet hiding.
Right.
All they can do is call 911. That's cycle time. How much time is it going to take to intake that call, triage it, get a direct asset like a firefighter and or EMT and or law enforcement en route to that location?
Yes.
We're talking about that. And so you're trying to bring those cycle times down.
Correct.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Correct. A minute is a very long time when you have somebody either intruding your house or if you have a medical emergency.
Yeah, the way I like to look at it is I watch a lot of UFC, right? And I also watch a lot of boxing. And in boxing, you get 3-minute rounds. In UFC, you get a 5-minute round. And so you can see the type of damage that can occur in 5 minutes. Right. And the average response time in America to a critical incident is usually above 7 minutes.
That's right.
Right. And so imagine someone having 7 minutes or 2 3-minute rounds in your house with a loved one who cannot protect themselves. That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and especially with what's going on in the urban environment, specifically today, lots of different dynamics from a security standpoint happening. There's a lot of cameras out there, but unless someone is actively monitoring and observing those cameras, they're not going to be able to do anything about it until it's 2 minutes. I call it 2 minutes too late.
Yeah.
So oftentimes you see a lot of videos on YouTube or social media. This one particular incident that I recall, this young lady was in this gym in a multifamily unit. A stranger knocks on the door.
Yes, I've seen this video. I have seen that video.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it blew up on the internet.
yes. So
She lets the guy into the gym.
thinking he's a resident, and then proceeds to assault her. Thankfully, she had the wherewithal to fight back.
I think she used a hand weight,
yes.
something of that nature. Yeah.
But all of this was caught on camera, and no one to respond.
So with AI, those cameras could have notified a security guard within a second.
Correct.
Right. And if a 911 center was tied into this program, the 911 center could have been tied in and notified, hey, you have unusual behaviors occurring. You need to send somebody en route.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay.
That's correct.
So you're ultimately cutting that response time or that cycle time in half.
Yes. Yes.
Which is amazing and effective. And so what about just general, let's say there isn't a major incident going on. Let's say, you have a large homeless population in a downtown urban area like Portland. Winter months are coming upon us, right? In that scenario. And you have people that are on the street. Is it a possibility for AI to determine if someone's going into hyperthermia, if their core temperatures are dropping? Are these things that you can detect as well?
Yes, eventually we can, as the sensors, the amount of, like, there's thermal sensors, there's thermal imaging in cameras, and as that level of sensory hardware becomes more democratized and accessible, we can deploy those and leverage them to help, critical incident. And then the opposite effect is very true. If it's inclement weather, if it's hot, you can have thermals to determine if someone is going into I forgot the word.
Heat stroke.
Heat stroke.
Yeah,
yes.
if their body's experiencing too much heat.
Yes. So there's a lot of things you can do with sensors in partnership with visual.
Wow. And even accidents, like let's say that lady didn't let someone into the gym, but she was lifting weights and the weight was crushing her.
Yes.
She fell underneath the weight of those actual barbells, and she was pinned to the ground, or it pulled her arm out of socket, and so she was injured.
Yep.
I would imagine AI could even detect things like that.
Yeah, I think there's an audio component that we could even acquire, like help.
Yeah, like talking to, these machines in our homes where we say, "Hey, machine."
Hey Siri.
Yeah, yeah. You say, "Hey, machine," or "Hey, phone, tell me this or tell me that." If you could say, "Hey,"
I didn't quite catch that. Say that again.
Someone's always listening.
That is so funny. But yeah, so AI is, if you were in a situation where, like, I'm being attacked, it could actually understand that sentence,
Right.
and then it could initiate a direct action, either through lockdown, some mechanical actions, or actually connecting a direct asset.
Yes.
And contacting that direct asset to get them en route.
It's interesting you say that. For a very large hospital, we just spoke to them literally Monday.
Yeah.
A lot of the public spaces like hospitals, lobbies,
Schools.
airports,
Yeah.
they have these traditional checkpoints at the perimeter level before you get into the building, and that's where most threat detection systems, like weapons detection systems, metal detectors, are placed.
Perimeter checkpoints.
Yep.
And once they're on the perimeter, it's no longer a security issue.
Correct.
It's a law enforcement issue.
Right.
And so security should be able to prevent people even getting to the perimeter.
Right.
It needs to be proactive.
Right.
And if you're waiting for someone to bring a gun to a checkpoint, I mean, it's basically, unfortunately, it's kind of like the Afghanistan scenario,
Right.
where there was a sniper in Overwatch, basically saying, "Hey, looks to be a potential suicide bomber," and they were never given the authority to dispatch a direct action to deal with it,
Right.
and it blew up a checkpoint
Right.
at the embassy during our last days in Afghanistan, and several U.S. service members were killed, along with Afghans. And this is the type of issue where if you're going to be running security should be proactive,
Yes.
not reactive.
Right.
And so that AI component gives you enough intelligence and understanding to be proactive.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're exploring, as I mentioned earlier, using sensors that are deployed beyond the perimeter of the main entry point.
Yeah, I don't think we want to talk about that.
Okay.
I mean, we could. There's a lot of great tech that we're working on.
Okay.
But yeah, so SOS, Sentinel Overwatch Services, has the capabilities of detecting firearms that are concealed on persons that are not visible to the human eye
That's correct.
at wide and long range distances.
That's correct.
We'll just say it that way.
Okay.
And so I'm the president of this company, and Yuri's the current CTO. And so we presented this, and this technology is, for me, it's important.
Yes.
We both have kids. You have more kids than me, but I'm catching up. and so we have school age children
Right.
that go to schools that are probably the most vulnerable to these types of attacks. And for me, there has to be a solution other than expecting our teachers to stand up and be a security force against a possible attack. There has to be some other more proactive solution than that.
Right.
And this is it.
Right.
And I know this is it because we've been working on this for a long time. And so what level of effectiveness do you think this will have, and how do you plan on getting this to market?
So I think our effectiveness has been proven. We're beyond the pilot stage.
Definitely.
And this technology has been proven in real-time scenarios. We've proven that our officers, and by enabling them with technology, with eyes on before they arrive, so they understand what kind of situation they're going into. Criminal elements, they have you have an image and a video.
Yeah.
You no longer have to guess what they look like based on a vague description.
You would even know the placement of the firearm on their body.
Correct.
As it's concealed before arriving
Yes.
to the scene.
So yeah, you before you arrive, what type of response you need in order to de-escalate the situation. But the effectiveness is in the high 90s, 99% accuracy.
This is amazing.
And the more we train the model, the better it'll get.
Yeah.
And then we're even looking at ways to optimize the alerting engine to make sure that notifications are, we're trying to shave seconds off.
Yeah.
And we think all these little microseconds or milliseconds matter. So that is continuing to improve. Accuracies, as I mentioned, with other sensor technology is going to continue to improve. And I think where this is heading is we are now going to be able to equip, our go-to-market strategy is to equip alarm companies and guarding companies nationally in the small to medium business sector. That's our primary focus. We are getting a lot of solicitations for mid to large enterprise, from hospitals and a lot of your current real estate partners and partner clients are currently using the technology. And so they have pretty unique use cases, and the more of those use cases we develop that are custom, the technology can be democratized, meaning more accessible.
More easily accessible.
Yes.
So we've come full circle. You're back to your original passion, saving lives. And we've had, the COO, Adam Schneider, on of SOS. We've also had other tech partners, PK Gupta, Jason No from Korea, who I'm going to be visiting here in Korea here shortly. And so we've gone into the field with them. They've been on the ride along, and we've showcased this technology in the field and just how easy it is and how effective it is. Today, what I want to do is I want to take you out in the field, and I want to go into scenarios, and then I want you to comment after we experience these and explain how AI could make these scenarios or make the individuals in these scenarios more effective.
Sure.
I kind of want to get your feedback because you really do have a more profound understanding of the capabilities of what we're doing. And so that's critical to me because, again, this is about saving lives.
Right.
Right. I know there's a common fear that AI is going to take over the world, Skynet.
Right.
But the reality is that AI actually has been effective.
Yes.
It's been effective, at least in what we're doing. And so I want to get you in the field and experience what we're doing now and how it could be better with AI. Before we do that, I want people to be able to find you on all your social media. I know that you have this gentleman is involved in like probably 10 separate companies. Right. You're in biotech. You're in you have marketing companies. You have teams working for you in different continents, right? Your development teams, your marketing teams. So tell people who you are. Let them find you on social media, and maybe even hire you to do some really cool stuff.
Sure. So I founded Alpha Code, which is my primary strategic advisory and software marketing development company. With that, we help enable early stage startups or startups that are looking to scale. Mm-hmm. So such as Sentinel Overwatch. Mm-hmm. In the ag tech world, Holland Bioscience, we're working with leading vertical farming companies to shipping and logistics and e-commerce. Mm-hmm. So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way. Mm-hmm. Just search for Yuri Sernande.
Can you have any more connections? Aren't you connectioned out?
Yes.
So they can follow you, but they can't friend you.
Yeah, I'm maxed at it. I think apparently there's a limit, 30,000.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work on, hey, LinkedIn, we should probably
work on that LinkedIn.
Yeah, we should probably increase that. Yeah. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, man. Let's hit the road. Like I tell everyone at home, the people that we invite here on the ride along, this is not about sitting down in a desk talking about ideas. Yeah. We're action people, so we're gonna leave the studio. We're gonna jump in the car. We're gonna hook up with Bakasaurus, as I like to call him, because he is a monster on the streets. And we're going to go on a ride along with Bach, and we're gonna try to save some lives and make our neighborhood better.
Yes.
And Yuri's going to join us. You excited?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Let's hit the road.
Let's do it.
All right.
See you there.